for everybody.
Somebody else coming?
No, I think that's it, but I just need to get this presentation ready.
You know, if we're waiting for another.
No, go ahead, but let me get this loaded.
Well, it's all going to depend on whether they
soon as I
recommend
save
it
this.
anyway.
Right.
Saving right now.
Is that it?
You pull it up. And there.
Or anyway. I don't care.
Right.
You know, I'll wait till I need to get here. I don't care if the zoning, if it's proper to make that one thing business or residential.
Right.
You know, there's better uses for that than this there.
It's a great intersection.
Well, I don't care if it's a great intersection.
It's a great place.
Good to see you. Yeah, we're good.
Because I'm sure somebody will.
Good.
Right. The only reason they want to be there is to get to that
It's the Hobo Bridge.
Hobo Bridge. All it's going to do is kill students. It's going to hold up the fire department. It's going to create potholes that you and me are going to have to pay for.
Right.
You know.
I just talked to Marty, and Marty said that would be the right thing.
You know, the planning commission meeting after us, they're the ones that are actually going to decide.
You're on the air.
You set? Meeting will please come to order. This is the duly advertised meeting of the Joliet Zoning Board of Appeals. In our capacity, we hear petitions for relief from the strict provisions of our city ordinance. In matters of this type, the decision of this board is final. It does not go to the mayor or city council for any further action. If you disagree with our decision, you do have recourse in the court of record. We also hear petitions for variations of land use. In matters of this type, we act as an advisory committee to the mayor and city council, making a recommendation either for or against it. The final decision on land use is made by the mayor and the city council.
I'll mention that. Okay.
Secretary, call the roll.
Mr. Alessio?
Here.
Mr. McCauley?
Here,
Ms. Powers? Mr. Riggs?
Here.
Mr. Thompson? Mr. Hennessy?
Here.
Mr. Chair, the first order of business at your meeting is the approval of the minutes, and this would be the approval of the July 18th, 2019 Zoning Board of Appeals meeting minutes.
Motion would be in order.
Motion to approve.
second,
We have motion and second to approve. Call the roll.
Mr. Alessio?
Aye.
Mr. McCauley?
aye.
Mr. Riggs?
Aye.
Mr. Hennessy?
Aye.
Next item is item 4, citizens to be heard on agenda items, and this is the section where anyone wanting to speak regarding items listed on the agenda, except for those items that are listed as public hearings, those individuals may speak, and you're entitled to speak for a maximum of 4 minutes. Again, there are several public hearings, I believe, this afternoon, and if you're here for one of those public hearings, we'll withhold comment until that time. Is anyone here for any non-public hearing agenda items? That's a good point. Seeing none, we'll move on to old business. The first order of old business is a public hearing, and it is a public hearing for petition 2019-04, which is a special use permit to allow continuation of a truck repair facility located at 259 Republic Avenue. This is a request by the property owner, and the property owner, I should say, is Paul Kraus. The petitioner is Pete Sikora, and the request is again for a continuation of a truck repair facility in an I-1 light industrial zoning district. This request must be considered by the City Council following the recommendation of the Zoning Board of Appeals. This petition was filed on February 14th of 2019. It was then tabled at the March, April, and May zoning board meetings in order to allow time for additional staff review. The petition was tabled at the June ZBA meeting at the petitioner's request. Under site-specific information, the property in question is approximately 3 acres. It includes over 21,000 square feet of warehouse and garage space within the connected brick and aluminum buildings. The front of the 2-story brick building also includes 2 housing units on the upper floors and an office on the first floor. The property has substantial surface parking along the building. The property is located in a light industrial area of the city along a branch of the former EJ&E railroad line, and the building on the property was constructed in 1957. The first building occupants appear to have been Radakovich Liquors and Beverage Company, and they were a wholesale distributor, and they operated here well into the late 1990s. In the 2000s, a roofing and insulation company operated at this location. In the 2010s, several different trucking companies utilized the building for trucking and warehousing operations. The property is located in the Presence St. Joseph, and now that's actually Amita, but the original TIF was called the Presence St. Joseph Medical Center TIF District, which was established in 2017. In 2018, a truck repair business began operating at this location, and the city discovered that the property did not have the required special use permit for truck repair when the business owner attempted to apply for a business license to operate a public garage in February of 2018. So the city sent the business and the property owner violation letters in October of 18 and January of 2019. Those are attached to your packet. The business has remained in operation despite the lack of a business license and a special use permit. The business owner applied for the special use formally in February of 2019. There is a table in your staff report that goes through the timeline of when the building was constructed, the different uses that came along, when the zoning ordinance was adopted in 1968, and when this current petition, some of the more recent activity of this current petition. Surrounding zoning, land use, and character, to the north is I-1 Light Industrial, and it's a trucking business. To the south is I-1 Light Industrial, that's a towing and auto repair business. To the east is B3 General Business and RB, which is restricted business, office type uses, and then a parking lot for the hospital and a medical diagnostics center. To the west is I-1 Light Industrial and outdoor storage, and there's also a regional bike path along within the right-of-way of the former EJ&E railroad line. Applicable regulations are as noted in the report. Under discussion, the property is within an established light industrial area of the city that developed along the former EJ&E railroad line. The petitioner, Pete Sikora, seeks to continue his truck repair business called Pete's Service and Sales. He has been in operation at this location for over 1 year. Mr. Sikora does not sell trucks or trailers at this time. In a conversation with staff shortly after the petition was filed, Mr. Sikora indicated that he named his business Pete's Service and Sales in case he ever wanted to sell trucks and or trailers in the future. Mr. Sikora stated that he was aware that the sales would also require a special use permit approval from the city. The business currently operates Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturdays from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. The business employs 10 people, including an office manager and Mr. Sikora. The business typically has 10 trucks on site, either actively being repaired or awaiting pickup. The business does not intend to have a long-term truck or trailer storage, and this has been made a condition of approval. An additional condition of approval is that the paved parking areas shall be maintained in order to limit noise and dust. Additional conditions related to site improvements are suggested below. The continuation of this use would be compatible with other existing and allowable uses in the I-1 Light Industrial District. If the zoning board desires to approve this special use permit, the following conditions would be included. 1, that Zone 1 perimeter landscaping, as detailed in Section 47-15E, landscape and screening regulations of the city zoning ordinance, shall be provided within 60 days of ordinance approval. 2, that a landscape plan shall be submitted to the planning division within 60 days of ordinance approval. 3, that the paved parkway shall be removed and replaced with sod and 2 ornamental trees within 60 days of ordinance approval. 4, that the dumpster shall be screened by a 6-foot-high solid fence with a locking gate within 60 days of ordinance approval. 5, that all vehicles, trucks, and trailers on the site shall be on a paved surface. And 6, that the outdoor parking area shall continue to be maintained with a paved surface. 7, that temporary outdoor storage of trucks and trailers awaiting to be serviced or to be picked up shall be limited to 10 days. 8, no temporary or long-term outdoor storage of inoperable vehicles, boats, recreational vehicles, or parts, including tires, shall be permitted. And 9, no truck or trailer parking shall be permitted on Republic Avenue. 10, there shall be no testing of customer vehicles conducted on Republic Avenue or the adjacent streets. And 11, that the special use permit granted shall herein terminate upon a change in ownership of the business or a change in ownership of the property, or within 10 years from the approval date of the attached ordinance, whichever date occurs sooner. And 12, should the property be declared a public nuisance, it shall be subject to a rehearing and a possible revocation of the special use permit. And 13, that a business license shall be obtained. And one thing I would add to the staff report, just to mention, the previous business, which was a liquor wholesale retail distributor business, I believe what I understand is that they had a trucking repair business in the building for many years, but that was only servicing their fleet of vehicles.
Right.
And so what brings us here today is the fact that this is now operating as a public garage open to anybody dropping off a vehicle there. And so that's what brings us to having a need for a special use permit. And that concludes staff's report.
Petitioner present. I swear you in. I swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth under penalty of law.
Yes, sir.
Name and address.
Carl Buck, 3260 Executive Drive, Joliet, Illinois. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Carl Buck, on behalf of the petitioner, Peter Sikora. Bruce Zumstein, attorney in Joliet, is also here present on behalf of the owner. The petitioner concurs in the conditions. I would add one note that in talking with Mr. Regis, an attorney for the city, we learned that one of the prior users of the facility was also operating a public truck repair facility, and that they had been grandfathered in after the zoning change in 1968, but that the grandfather actually expired. So we started operating under the presumption that the prior user was also operating as a truck facility, so we were permitted. When they told us we weren't, that's when we applied.
Okay, do you agree with that 10-year limitation?
Yes, sir.
Was that put in because of the GIF?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions by the board? Anybody in the audience wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Is there anyone opposed? Chair closes the petition of the floor and asks the board for discussion on the motion. None. Motion is in order.
Motion to approve.
We have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the petition. Call the roll.
Mr. Alessio?
Aye.
Mr. McCauley?
Aye.
Mr. Riggs?
Aye.
Mr. Hennessy?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
And I would ask the petitioner just to stay in touch with staff to confirm the date of the council meeting. The next item on the agenda is also old business. This is also a public hearing. And this is a request for a series of variations to allow the construction of a new gas station located at 3401 and 3405 West Jefferson Street. The petition is 2019-24. I will just remind everyone that the use is being considered, the proposed use is being considered at 4 p.m. In the same room with the Plan Commission. This meeting this afternoon is only to consider the request for variations related to the signage of the proposed project and the reduced front yard setback related to the project.
Before we go any further on this, this is a situation that arises frequently before this zoning board, in that we are going out of order. The items on our agenda should really not be before us until after the Plan Commission has made a recommendation to the City Council, and the City Council has acted on it. At that point in time, we would consider the variations to what has already been approved. What they're asking us to do here today is approve these variations prior to the existence of the zoning and the acceptance of the plat and the site planning. In my opinion, we're out of order and the procedure's out of order. I would recommend to the board that we table this until after the plan commission has met, made a recommendation, and the council has voted on it. We're voting on absolutely something that doesn't exist today.
May I speak? Jan Quillman, 813 Western. I understand this is out of order, and I'm not asking for a vote today, but since all these people took the afternoon off to be here, could we at least hear them out for today since they're already here? And I'm not asking for you to vote on it, I'm just asking you to hear them out. And I know Mr. McCauley, Mr. Alessio, and Mr. Riggs were at the neighborhood meeting where everybody spoke against it.
We
So,
had the same amount of people last month, and nothing has happened since then.
but they weren't allowed to speak last week because you didn't
Yes,
have a
they
quorum.
were.
You didn't have a quorum. There was no meeting.
That was at the
Ask the
petitioner's
city attorney for an opinion.
Well, on this one, I just,
request.
it's really up to you on what you want to do. I mean, you have the right to continue it, so that's,
Am I right in what I said?
Yes, you are. I agree with
yes,
you.
yes,
And this happens frequently.
yes.
Almost every time, we get these things that we are not in a position to vote on because it hasn't been approved.
So I'd agree with that, yes. So now as for the
So
people.
it's not only
yeah.
this meeting, it's every meeting we have. And
I agree with you, but I'm just saying since they're here today and it's
Your
going to
interest
go
is
to
in the
plan,
people, so is mine.
you're the chairman.
But
I'm
if we
just
vote
asking.
on this, it has no significance.
I'm not
because
asking you
there's
to
nothing
vote. I'm asking you to just listen. You don't have to vote. Is that true, Council?
Yes, if you want to continue it, yes. So there's a couple of things you could do in terms of the public hearing. You could either, A, open it and then remind everyone in the audience that you're going to hear it again because you're going to set it at your next date. And then if there's anyone that can't make that meeting, they'd be more than welcome to speak today. Or if they wanted to speak today, that's...
Well, I don't make the motions. I'm asking the board if they want to.
They are gonna consider this at 4 o'clock this afternoon in the planning meeting. So,
But most of you are here for actually isn't going to occur until the plan commission meeting. We're just voting on some minor variations that'll occur after it's been approved.
Again,
we're-
I'm just asking for consideration to hear what they have to say.
I appreciate your comments, Ms.
Okay,
Councilwoman.
thank you.
So having this hearing today and going through this whole process is an exercise in futility. You're gonna have to then go to the plan commission this afternoon and hear the actual decisions that will be made. We're not making those decisions here.
Mr. Chair,
It's
if I
a
may.
waste of time.
Mr. Chair, just a point of clarification, if I may, if that's okay. You certainly have the right to
I know I do.
table. The board has the right. I just want to mention too, if you were to take action on it ahead of the Plan Commission, it's predicated on the approval, any consideration would, any action taken would be moot if the use does not get approved.
I'm aware of all that, but I'm just tired of this occurring all the time. The meetings are held out of sequence. We're gonna have this hearing, and it's not even about what these people are here for. They're here to stop the change in the zoning classification, and they're here to stop the approval of the site plan. That is not what we're doing today. So do you wanna sit through it twice? I don't think you do. So do we have a motion or not?
I have a motion to table till next month.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
What's the meeting date?
The next meeting is on your calendar.
I have to do it after the city council.
September 19th. So the tabling motion would be until the,
Well, we'll hear it after the city council.
Mr. Chairman, Mr.
There's no
Chairman,
point in having it prior to that.
if I could just clarify, I think what you're requesting is that this matter be heard after any city council
Right,
action.
after the
Okay.
council meeting, so we don't know when that'll be, they may decide not to hear it.
Right, so if you're going to have a motion for tabling, it probably should be to table indefinitely.
Till after,
And then at that rate, we could bring it back whenever the council after the council considers it.
Table until after the
Correct,
the plan commission has made the recommendation and the council has voted on it.
correct.
We should table it to a date certain to let these people know when it's going to be, rather than, hey, keep an eye on the agenda, since they're all here for that, so.
And
That's-
as a
that
matter
would-
of practice, we re-advertise, we re-notify to keep everybody in the loop. We would certainly re-notice on a case like this.
We have, call the roll.
Is that the council? Okay.
Voting on table, just the table. Indefinitely.
September night, Mr. Chairman, so September 19th,
Till September 19th?
yes.
You made the motion, you have to say that.
I make the motion to table till September 19th.
Okay.
One thing I want to clarify, if you want it after city council, that would be in October. So,
Whenever.
and I don't know if the applicant wants to say anything, but I understand that without these variances, they would probably not be able to fit so they kind of did want to go on a parallel track. That's why
We can call a special meeting.
That's why they chose to file like
The
this.
council votes, we can call a special meeting.
So if you could just repeat the motion for us.
The motion is to table, from my understanding. the
Let's go
motion is to table
indefinitely.
Until after the plan commission makes a recommendation to the council. The council has heard it and
Okay,
made a
so-
decision, and then it'll come before this board.
A motion to table indefinitely.
No,
And
there's,
then-
we need to set a date certain, September 19th.
Okay, if you want to make it,
Yes,
that's up
September
to the
19th.
staff.
And we can always table it again.
Table it till the October meeting.
City council, these people are gonna come again?
So if they come back on the 19th, is what I'm being told, that's prior to the city council.
No, that's after the city council meeting.
Well,
Is it after, you won't go to the first meeting in September?
Point
No,
September
yeah,
19th.
I got it.
Is that?
okay, so typically the second council meeting in September is where this would go. So it would not go to the first meeting in September, the second.
It doesn't matter.
Maybe the October meeting then.
After they
Right,
approve
then
it.
that would be, the 19th falls after the 16th of September.
Or deny it, whichever one they do. If they deny it, we won't even have it.
We're just looking, logistically, there's some noticing requirements and so forth, so would the 19th work? Okay.
Couldn't do the notices and stuff, no?
Let's just table it
So-
indefinitely.
The packets there wouldn't be time to do the notices for the 19th. So if you set the 19th, we'll just have to end up, if it's not ready, it gets tabled again. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not getting that part.
I'm not sure what notices we're talking about, because all we're doing is we're continuing a matter that was noticed up today properly to September 19th. So there's nothing that would have to be renoticed, because we're continuing what we're doing today to September 19th.
Yeah, so, that's it.
What?
Their packets go out.
Yeah, yeah.
It's on the 19th, packets go out the week before, on the 10th.
So the packet, what we're talking about logistics for you, your packets for the 19th, the meeting on 19th, come out 1 week earlier.
That's fine.
Okay.
So packets will go out on the Tuesday week of the meeting.
I don't know why we just don't go till October.
In time for the Thursday meeting.
So you may not get your packet in time for the Thursday meeting, is what we're
We'll
saying.
get it over the internet, so.
Okay. Okay. So that's your motion to table to the 19th. Okay? Call the roll.
That's Mr. McCauley's motion.
We can change it to October if you want.
That's it.
And you
Call the
have,
roll.
and who seconded that?
Yes, we have
Mr.
some.
Riggs. Second it.
Riggs.
Mr. Alessio?
Am I in order to comment?
Yeah, sure.
I just want to comment on this real quick. I do agree with the board's decision to table it to September. However, I do think it'd be beneficial for the citizens to be heard. And I also want to make a distinction from everybody else up here on the board. Although I do agree the sign variances do not pertain to the site plan, I disagree with the board in saying that the variation on the landscape variation, that would definitely affect the site plan. So that's my only difference, but I'm going to vote aye to table it.
Mr. McCauley?
Aye.
Mr. Riggs?
Aye.
Mr. Hennessy?
Yeah, I have no idea what the plan commission is going to do or what the city council is going to do. If they approve it, fine. If they deny it, we wouldn't even have the meeting because there would be no point in it if it's denied by the council. So I vote aye. That's it.
And just so we're clear, the public hearing will be continued to that date.
Yeah. If you want to attend the meeting this afternoon at 4 o'clock, you're going to hear it there.
Okay, thank you. The next order of business on your agenda would be the new business public hearings. The first item under new business is petition 2019-26. This is an amendment to a special use permit to allow 4 additional residential units within an existing 35-unit multifamily commercial building and a series of variations located at 66 through 76 North Chicago Street. And this is the property owner, Mike Petrie, and Mid Central Enterprises is also the property owner and also the petitioner. They're requesting this amendment to a special use permit, which was ordinance 17633, to allow an additional 4 residential units within the existing 35-unit multi-family and commercial building, and variations from the city's planned unit development requirement and lot area per family requirement, from a reduction from 2,500 square feet to 392 square feet, located at 66 through 76 North Chicago Street. And this request must be considered by the City Council following the recommendation of the ZBA. Under site-specific information, the petition includes the 5-story brick and stone building located at 66 through 68 North Chicago Street, known as the Barber Building, which is on a 66 by 165-foot parcel. That's 10,890 square feet. And the 3-story brick building at 72 through 76 North Chicago Street, which is located on a 44 by 100-foot or 4,400 square foot site. The buildings are connected by a shared hallway on the upper levels. The city issued a special use permit in July 2017 to facilitate the redevelopment of the upper floors of these 2 buildings into 35 apartments. The city also approved variances from the city's planned unit development requirement and a reduction of the lot area per family requirement. The upper floors of the 2 buildings have since been redeveloped into 35 apartments, and according to the developer, these apartments are fully leased. The main floor commercial tenant space at 76 North Chicago Street is occupied by a clothing store. The main floor commercial tenant spaces at 68 and 66 North Chicago Street have remained vacant. The developer originally intended to create indoor parking within the back portion of the building at 66 through 68 North Chicago's main floor, but has since determined that this project was not feasible. The property is zoned B2 Central Business District, and this case was filed on July 12th of 2019. Surrounding zoning, land use, and character, the property in question is surrounded by mixed use of commercial, office, and residential uses that are all zoned B2 Central Business District. Applicable regulations are as noted in the staff report. Under discussion, the requested amendment to the previously approved special use permit and variations to the city's PUD and lot area per family requirements will allow the petitioner to convert vacant space on the rear of the main floor of the building at 66 through 68 North Chicago Street into 4 additional 1 or 2 bedroom apartment units. A conceptual floor plan is attached in the packet and shown, I believe, on one of the slides. One of the 4 units has a high ceiling, which will allow for the creation of a 2nd story with a bedroom for that particular unit. Approval of the special use amendment request and variances from the city's PUD requirement and lot area per family requirement would allow a total of 39 apartment units with a mix of 1 and 2 bedroom units. The petitioner is not proposing any changes to the building facade or building footprint. The commercial unit at 68 North Chicago Street, which is on the main floor of the Barber Building, will remain as a commercial space. If the zoning board desires to approve this special use permit, the following conditions would be included. 1, that the property owner shall participate in the Joliet landlord/tenant screening program. 2, that the property owner shall enroll the units in the city's rental inspection program. 3, that the special use granted shall herein terminate and lapse unless a building permit or a C of O, certificate of occupancy, is obtained not later than 180 days after the effective date of the passage of an ordinance. And also that the erection or alteration of the building is started or the use is commenced within such period. And I won't read the rest of that condition number 3, but that is all standard language. Condition number 4, should the property be declared a public nuisance, it shall be subject to a rehearing and a possible revocation of the special use permit, and that concludes staff's report.
Thank you. I swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth under penalty of law. Name and address.
Mike Petrie, 960 Western.
Any comments you'd like to make, Mr. Petrie?
I think Michael covered it, right? Is this everything from the previous
Yes.
general language?
Did you ever find that parking garage that was underneath that building?
No, I didn't. I heard stories from, I think you know the name, Bob Curry.
It used to be Butel
Yeah.
Nash dealership was there, and they had a huge underground parking lot there. I remember asking the staff about it. It's probably been, when the bank closed off the alley, they probably closed it off, but that still has to exist down there. That's what I thought you were gonna be using for parking.
Yeah, no, the only person I ever heard about this from was Bob Curry. You might remember that name from our city's past, but, because I restored his house years ago. But he told me that was actually behind the building to the right is where that parking garage went down, and then it was all filled in. But this building's
Yeah,
been...
that used to be the Checker Cab Company at one time.
That was,
Yeah,
Gordon Adams had it.
This wasn't below this building, it was actually behind the building to the right where the bank parking lot is.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a huge mishap there one day. They were putting in the parking meters on Joliet Street, and the truck had pulled up, and they had a funnel. They were pouring the concrete through this hole, which is about the size of a golf hole, and it was pouring in there for about an hour and a half. They didn't realize they were concreting all the cars that were parked in the garage downstairs. It was quite a mess for them. Maybe that's why they closed it up, I don't know. Okay, are there any questions by the board?
That used to be the old Illinois Securities of the area where you're rehabbing, right?
You know, I think the name, there was a Citizens Bank that was in 1914 from an old drawing we have of the building, but I don't know what happened after that. But there's a lot of bank vaults. There's actually in this space that we're
There's a lot of huge spaces down there.
Yeah, there was Illinois Securities, stock, insurance, and all that stuff in there.
That was
Wolfson's.
There's
You
18
rented all
different-
your apartments out now?
Yeah, all the upper floors and the 4 floors that you see are rented, and this is that south side of the building to put apartments down there.
Yeah, they mostly what, professional people living downtown, or?
Yeah, you know, it's a mix. Yeah, I would say it's professional. Our Derek with the city, he lives there. There's 2 police officers. There's just a whole complete diversity of occupations and.
Have you got anything to do with that property on Jefferson Street? Down, past by the
Stadium?
ballpark, yeah.
Well, we're always talking. There's some things we got to get fixed up.
Yeah, that's
before
gonna be for us a couple times. We approved it, I think, once.
What's that?
I think we approved that once already.
Yeah, that was
I
with
don't
Mr.
know
Thompson.
I don't know if it was you or not.
Yeah, Mr. Thompson passed away. He was going to do it.
Anyway, let's go ahead. Any questions by the board? Anybody in the audience wish to speak in favor? Is there anyone opposed? Chair closes the petition. Ask the board for discussion and a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the petition. Poll the board.
Mr. McCauley?
Aye.
Mr. Riggs?
Aye.
Mr. Alessio?
Aye.
Mr. Hennessy?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, the next item on your agenda, also new business requiring a public hearing, is petition number 2019-27. This is a variation of use to allow continuation of 3 residential units on one lot, and that includes a 2-unit house and a single-family house in an R2 single-family residential zoning district, as well as a series of variations located at 523 through 525 Stryker Avenue. The petitioner or applicant in this case is Frank G. Cavazos, also the owner of the property. The location is 523 through 525 Stryker. The request for the variation of use is to allow continuation of 3 residential units on one lot. The variation of use must be considered by the City Council following the recommendation of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Requested variations from the Zoning Board of Appeals include 1, a variation to allow 2 main buildings on 1 lot, and 2, a variation to reduce the minimum required lot area per family from 7,500 square feet to 4,198 square feet. Under site-specific information, the property in question sits at the northwest corner of Stryker Avenue and Ivy Place and is 14,755 square feet in size. The city annexed the property in 1953. At the time of annexation, the property included a circa 1900 one-story single-family home. According to the petitioner, his parents acquired the property in the mid-1960s and built the 2-story home in 1965 as a 2-unit, with the upstairs and downstairs comprising separate living units. The 2-story 2-unit has 4,170 square feet of combined living space. The 2-story 2-unit was built on a concrete slab and therefore has no basement. The property also includes a large 2-bay garage and a small shed. The 2-story house likely did not appear on the city's lists as a 2-unit because the units were connected by an interior stairway and therefore was not considered a separate housekeeping unit by the township assessor. In addition, each of the units in the 2-story house was occupied by a family member. The petitioner's parents lived in one of the units and another family member lived in the other, including the petitioner's family for several years. Joliet Polk street directories from the 1960s onward confirms that there were at least 2 Cavazos families living here at this location. The petitioner's parents and family members also ran an upholstery business, Cavazos Upholstery and Awnings, at this location for several years. Surrounding zoning, land use, and character in all directions is R2, single-family residential district. To the north and south and west are all residential uses, and to the east is a church parking lot. Applicable regulations are as noted in your staff report. Under discussion, the petitioner inherited his parents' property in January of 2019. The petitioner discovered that he did not have the proper zoning for a 2-unit, nor for 2 buildings on 1 lot when he attempted to rent one of the units. The petitioner filed this petition to allow for the continuation of a 2-unit house and a single-family house on 1 lot shortly thereafter. The floor plans for the 3 units located on this property were included with this petition, as well as a recent plat of survey. The first floor unit of the 2-unit building at 525 Stryker Avenue is 2,400 square feet in size, has 2 bedrooms and 2 baths. The second floor unit of the 2-unit building at 525 Stryker is 1,770 square feet in size and has 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. The petitioner lives in the first floor unit and intends to remain in this unit. The 1-story building at 523 Stryker Avenue is 720 square feet in size and has 1 bedroom and 1 bathroom. The zoning ordinance requires 5 off-street parking spaces for all 3 existing units. The property actually has off-street parking for 7 cars, which includes 3 garage spaces. Staff from the Division of Neighborhood Services inspected the property on August 5th, 2019. Their inspection found that the property owner/petitioner will have to make minor modifications to the 2-unit and single-family home on the property in order to bring them up to code. Such minor modifications include installing drywall in certain rooms to create a fire-rated separation between the 2 units and relocating access to the mechanical equipment in each of the units. Subject to these minor modifications, Neighborhood Services has no concerns with the property becoming a 3-unit. The property would be required to enroll in the rental inspection program if the variation of use is approved. The property has not been on the rental inspection program because it was owned and occupied by one family for several decades. This petition also includes 2 variation requests. The first is a variation to allow 2 main buildings on 1 lot. The second is a variation on reducing the lot area per family. R2 single-family residential district zoning requires a minimum lot area of 7,500 square feet per unit. The current lot area per family with a 3-unit on 14,755 square foot lot is 4,918 square feet per family. The garage, single-family home, and two-family home are existing non-conforming structures in that they do not conform to the setback requirements of the R2 single-family zoning district. If the zoning board desires to recommend approval of the variation of use request and allow continuation of 3 residential units on one lot, being a 2-unit house and a single-family house, in an R2 single-family residential zoning district, as well as a series of variations, the following conditions would be included. 1, that a minimum of 5 off-street parking spaces shall remain in the future. 2, that the use of the property shall not be expanded in the future. 3, that the property owner shall participate in the Joliet landlord/tenant screening program. 4, that the property owner shall enroll in the city's rental inspection program. And 5, should the property be declared a public nuisance by the city council, the variation of use is automatically revoked. And that concludes staff's report.
Thank you. I swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth under penalty of law. May I have your name and address? Name and address, please.
Frank G. Cavazos, 525 Stryker Avenue in Joliet.
Anything you'd like to say?
Well, I think Mike Schwartz explained the situation very well, and the only thing I would add is if approved, I would certainly conform to the requirements for the change and the variation in use.
Okay. Questions by the board? Anybody in the audience wish to speak in favor? Come on forward. Do you swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth under penalty of law?
I do.
Name and address.
My name is Melissa Cavazos Eichelberger, and my residence is 573 North Mitchell Street. However, I'm the property owner of 509 Stryker. For as long as I've been alive, it's been this way. So I don't think that it's a significant change, while I realize it's a change for zoning, but it's been this way for decades, like Mr. Schwartz said. And so I would hope that the board approves this change.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Annette Muller.
You can
This one?
move those. Go ahead.
Okay. Annette Muller at 1619 Ivy Place. I'm a neighbor, just here to support them. As they've said, it has been that way for as long as they know, as long as I've lived there. And I do agree that they should be able to continue with it.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? You swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth under penalty of law?
I do.
Name and address.
Nancy Bowden, 510 South Margaret Street. I'm not really here to oppose anything. What I'm asking though is, we're a small, very homey community, and everything that Frank has asked for is fine, as long as it's limited to just that property and it's not setting any precedents for any other properties.
No, it's just that property.
Just that, limited to that property.
Okay? All right. Anyone else? Anyone here in opposition? Guess not. Chair closes petition. Ask the board for discussion and a motion.
I make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have motion and second to approve the petition. Hold the board.
Mr. Riggs?
Aye.
Mr. Alessio?
Aye.
Mr. McCauley?
Aye.
Mr. Hennessy?
All right. Congratulations.
Thank you. That closes our public hearings for the day. There is no new business requiring any non-public hearing items. The second to last section of the agenda is public comments for anyone wanting to speak regarding any non-agenda items, just of general nature for the zoning board. And again, speaking is limited to a maximum of 4 minutes. Seeing none, the last item is adjournment.
Motion be in order. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
We have motion and second to adjourn. Hold the board.
Mr. Riggs?
Aye.
Mr. Alessio?
Aye.
Mr. McCauley?
Aye.
Mr. Hennessy?
Aye.